Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Kaijuro Cards. We got an exciting one today. So, new season out, and for once, we're going to review it because in the past it was just, there was a lot of changes, but nothing too crazy to kind of talk about. This month is very different. We got new cards, new stuff. First of all, lobby. There are way too many chandeliers. Look, I'm all for lights, but my goodness, I don't think the electricity bill will be really good this month for the developers. All right, too many lights. Jokes aside. Uh, just really quickly, let's talk. I'm always pressing on, but the balance changes. Um, just kind of overall. Um, I think this was meaningless. This 500 buff the blocker ability was really weird. Is the defender cell? It has been changed so many times now. I remember it was like, was it changed last patch? I can't find it, but like I'm pretty sure like last patch it got changed too, didn't it? I'm not crazy, right? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? I don't think I'm crazy. I mean, I am pretty crazy, but I could have sworn there was like I remember it got changed to a 5 cost, and everybody thought it was even worse. So they changed it back to a 4 cost because it doesn't work in light fours, but now it is. So ambush prey and strategic ambush shuffle 8,000 bugs to 7,000, and I feel like the Mantis card was already strong. I mean, just the 7,000 stat stick for nature was pretty strong. 8,000 feels really good though, especially for 2 cost spell and just an ability. Just 8,000 is kind of gnarly. Um, take cover no longer gives the 1,000, and at first a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is a big nerf." Nobody cares. Especially for me, I use take cover in a couple of decks. The main thing I was using it for, though, I was using it for like a dragon deck where you just needed the blocker. So honestly, take the 1,000. That's fine. Just let me keep my blocker. Um, Igloo Snapper going to a 4 cost. Igloo Snapper was always a weird card, especially as a 5 cost. Who knows? We're starting to get to like this era now of water forts. We're starting to look like we're getting like blockers in it. That's kind of fun. Patchwork Sturgeon's also a 4 cost. So Dark Force getting a lift. A lot of lifters actually. Force are gonna get a lot of lifters. But Patchwork Sturgeon's nice. But I don't know if I'm gonna put it in this deck. I don't think this was an incentive for me. I tried it out, but I wasn't the biggest fan. Clades cost from went to 9 to 8. I don't think it needed this. It's an insane card, and I feel like this is just really proved that point that it's just such a good card. Um, Taking Poseidon's effect once per round. I remember there was some like looping problems. People were like finding like infinite loops, and it was getting like really problematic and funny. Which, okay, it's okay. Hydra Medusa now has 5,000 power. I don't think that's gonna be too crazy, but it's pretty good. The Blessed Vagrant went from 3,000 to 3,500, but removed its text, which I still think was weird. I think this was a nerf. This was kind of a nerf, but I think this has to do with the new cards, which we'll get into. But I feel like overall this was a nerf. Giga Flame getting more power, really nice because Fireland's energy was already used with it, and now it's feeling even better. I feel like this is a really strong card. Bear Mother getting 1,000 power didn't feel crazy. And here's one of the bigger, like more crazy ones that we're gonna get into this month. Solar Deflector going to a 4 cost. Light fours, ooh, really needed like just like one disruption. This was it. This really changed. I've put it into my light fours. I did some testing. Oh my goodness, I'm being like water blocker with it. I'm beating fighter discard. Like it's kind of getting nasty with the Solar Deflector and light fours. Swiss Strikers cost from 3 to 2 and 3,000, 2,000 power. I don't think anyone's talking about this. And here's one that personally hurt. Meltdown cost from 7 to 8. Why? I don't think anyone was like, oh man, that Meltdown's a real problem, I tell you. It was a staple fighter card, sure, but every element has a staple card. I feel like it was fine. I don't feel like this was necessary, but fair enough. There's people getting like 26,000 power meltdowns, and that was getting a little crazy. And the final one, and this is kind of a big one, especially for people like me. Professor Rafemore reverted. Now, for those who don't know, on Discord there was this whole this whole like peaceful protest for like 27 days, where me and a the YouTuber Weevo, you guys probably know, he was like leading like change, bring back Professor Rafe Moore, and everyone's like yeah, and they did, they listened, which and this was kind of crazy because I remember seeing this. I'm like, holy crap, they actually listened to us. It was nuts. I'm not getting into the battleground changes. Read that if you want. It's not that crazy, but eh, it's okay. I don't feel like it's there's a lot going on here, but it's pretty fun. I was never the biggest battleground guy, so to me, I wasn't too crazy. One last final change, the other changes, all 10 starter class cards have been moved out of the class mastery tracks and now completely free to everyone. So what I think that means is, so like, let's say, card that got buffed, Bear Mother, I think everyone gets access to it now. Yeah, because I now have two. So I feel like just everyone now gets access to Bear Mother, cards like that. That's pretty cool. I feel like it's a good idea. It's way more healthy for beginners. You can get some legendaries. You can understand how decks move along. So next thing on this patch, we got our first raid boss. I contributed 100 shields. I was one of the day one. Now we have a little bit of talked about. In fact, a little bit of drama. People were not happy. So the way this thing worked when he launched, it was this boss with 10,000 shields. The goal was to break all the shields, um, for reward, and it was a fun like group work together. Um, but the personal reward, the biggest you got was 100 shields. So I got 100 shields. I didn't go any over because I didn't want to hoard. Not everybody got that thing, and we ended up with people doing stuff like 266, and it was a lot of people were upset, because a lot of people who wanted this just ended up not getting the strike, because that's what you got. You got a strike. This is like the most easily accessible strike I think forever, and people, and I felt like other players were gatekeeping it, and then there was the two sides of, oh, it's a strike, so therefore it should be limited, but oh, at the same time, it's not fair because some people didn't even have a chance to get it. So what they did, they just made it harder to get, but anyone can get it again. Also, can we just talk about how they expect you to get 30,000 shields? Like we got 10,000 day one, sure, but I don't think it will get that crazy soon. And overall, I think so. The raid boss is kind of fun. You fight everyone that appears while watching this already fought him. Personally, I think it's a good idea. A lot needs fleshed out. He feels like he's on, like, dude is taking a new type of steroid. My guy has invented a new roid, okay? He's just that strong. And overall, he's okay. I think the raid boss was fun. I do think after like breaking 50 shields, it was very boring. I got really bored after breaking just 10 shields, and it felt really boring, especially since the best one was Golem. You just ran Golems. That's for anyone watching who's like, oh, how do you beat him? Run Golems. All right, don't try to be like, well, I want to run this, this, and this. No, just run Golems. And that was actually another thing. There was the quick break one shield forfeit strat that was going around by Cindy. Lustin nerfed that, and there's a 5-minute cooldown between each time you can fight him. So people just so you have to run golems now because that takes 5 minutes to play, which I think is a good idea. I don't think you should be doing some sort of cheese. I feel like you have to fight them fairly. I feel like that was pretty good. So let's talk about probably why everyone's watching the new cards. So we've got Sky Raider. Well, these are some of the new cards. So we got, first of all, the Reaver Scythe, Sky Raider, Mothman, Trench Amalgamation, Dollface, Dream Catcher. I don't know what that other was. I don't think yeah. So then there was also Murderous Butcher, which weird name for a card. Then there was, I am still gonna butcher this name. Uh, Lycanthrope Locust. I so hope that was at least a little bit accurate to how it's pronounced. Really sick art. I love the card's art. So let's start with the Battle Pass cards. So first of all, Reaver Scythes. This is the monthly legendary. This card is kind of feels memeish. It feels very memeish to an extent, but it's really weird. I have no idea. I have been running. I've tried him out a couple times. He feels very weird because he's a free draw. He gives you some random cards to get. And because of that, hey, that's pretty good. The only thing the cards he gives aren't the craziest, and sometimes you don't want to do card draws. Sometimes you just want to empty out your hand, declare war. But this is pretty fun because the cards he does get, he can give you some pretty good cards from his pool. Overall, so since this is the first time I'm gonna explain it, I'm gonna rank cards from a scale of 1 to 10. I think 1 to 5 can be a little bit, you know, uh. And so for this one, for being a legendary, because this is a legendary, granted it's very cheap, good power for being a 5 cost. I'm gonna give it a 6 for right now. The thing is, yes, it's cool, but the card, what it's doing isn't the most insane. We're not getting these crazy changes to a deck. I don't think this is going to cause a meta disruption. Really good with Glooming Pumpkin, by the way. For those wondering, oops, I spelled that wrong. For anyone wondering, run him with Glooming Pumpkin at the end of your turn, discard a random card to cast a random spell. Really good. You could put him like run like a fire discard combo type deck. I would definitely recommend that. So now I've got the normal battle pass cards. So these are the ones I think a lot of you are going to be interested in because these are the ones you get for free. Reaver Scythe, you had to pay for. I mean, it's $2. Give this one game $2, will you? Sky Raider. At the end of your turn, discard a random card and switch sides. This is. I remember when this card got teased. Very mixed reception. First of all, you gotta love the Green Goblin-esque reference. Second of all, um, it's weird. So how it works, you play on your turn. It'll discard one of your cards and then switch sides. And then when its third turn ends, it discards one of their cards and switches back to your side. So this is really good for a kind of like a disruption discard. So like because you're benefiting from discarding your cards, but your opponent wants to keep their cards. And it's pretty good, especially for a 1 cost doing this. Honestly, I am surprised they're letting a 1 cost be this like changing of a card. Like this is pretty huge for discard. Here's the only thing. You can see it coming. They play it, then they play it. So you get your big cards out. Um, and because of that, it's not always the most crazy, and sometimes they'll just completely miss and hit something that you don't care about losing. If anything, can help you because now you have your hand out faster. And when you do that war, if you do win, you know, now helps you. And it also switches sides. So if you war, you now have this 2,000 power card. They don't, and that sometimes can be changing. I think for 1 cost though, this is really good for a 1 cost card. This is probably like the best 1 cost card. And because of that, I mean, decent power, 1 cost, it's really helping lift this card, which I don't think needs a lifter. I think it was doing good. It feels better. I think this is a good step in the right direction for discard. I'll give this a 7.5 because I don't know, because like compared to Reaver Sight, I think this is definitely the better card, but that's a 5 cost. This is a 1 cost card. Because of that, it just gets such a good score. Mothman. Now this was a lot of people were joking about this, like it's Mothman. I gotta get Mothman. Um, yeah, Mothman. Ugh, I'm just sitting here just thinking about this card. So this is a fun card. So replace your opponent's ability of Haunting Gaze for 1 use. And what that does is your opponent draws a card. So basically, you'll draw a card. When you play your Mothman, your opponent draws a card for you. And, this can be really good. Disrupts your ability. Decent power. But here's the thing. First of all, it's an epic. Some people actually do care about rarities because, that can kind of suck in the long run to unlock. And it's a 6 cost. However, um, it's a good card. It's really good for just like affliction type stuff we're doing. It's good for bug decks. Only thing, whenever I'm using it, I haven't really had my opponent go, darn, you really hurt me with your Mothman giving, no. And there's some times where I'm just like, I don't even really want to draw. I just like, yeah, thanks for the card, but I don't really need it. I'm fine without it. Nature decks just get momentum with few cards. You can really just keep rolling. So it's a cool card. I just don't know. I'm just not really feeling it. Overall, though, I will say in the long run, this card will be really good. And I could definitely see it being really good for affliction slash disruption decks, whatever you want to call them. I call them affliction because you're afflicting your opponent's card with bad stuff. Overall, I'll give this a 7. I don't think it's crazy. I just think it's good. Don't get me wrong. Personally, I just don't care for it. I know it's a very good card. Don't attack me. I know this is a good card. I just don't think I'll use it much. I do have in some decks. I do have a deck lined up uh, with Mothman. That's gonna be fun. So next we got Trench Amalgamation. Now this was the first Battle Pass card I grabbed. I grabbed this guy fast because I thought this was going to be the best card. Allow me to explain. So with Trench Amalgamation, the whole thing about water card decks, you want to be able to draw. With your Tide Collar and your King Sonar, being able to have a full hand, that can give you like a net worth of like plus like 10,000 or more. It's crazy. I hate them. So the reason why is, and I actually fought people who ran the exact same deck as me, just without Trench Amalgamation, and I lost every time. The reason why, yeah, he's cool and he's good for stuff like Tide Collar. The problem is he's just not helping. He's just not helping me get power out. I would much rather cards that benefit more from draws than drawing. If that makes any sense, because water has enough draws in these types of decks. And I'm sorry, it's just not good. I definitely think this needs kind of like a rework. I don't think it's this good, especially since it can help your opponent. Oh my goodness, more oftentimes than not, like, thank you for the draws. I now have a good hand for next round. I'm like, yeah, yeah, whatever, I guess. Um, Next we have Dollface. Now this is a fun one. Um, so forecast. This is one of the first forecasts we're going to be discussing. Dollface forecast. So play and death. Both players swap their decks with the graveyard. I have very mixed feelings about this. So when people saw this, they're like, "Oh yeah, this will be great for stuff like Giga Slug. When this enters your graveyard, give it 1,000 permanently." People, and it is good for that. Don't get me wrong; it's great for the graveyard mill where you're like constantly swapping between graveyard deck, just constantly swapping them. Your Giga Slug starts ramping more. Problem is, it can feel clunky and sometimes helps your opponents. Um, and sadly doesn't do much for Darkness Force. Darkness Force really needs it's on its deathbed. All right, they're fan about pulling the plug for Grandma, and Grandma just ain't doing well with its force. Okay, and they're fan about pulling that plug. But I will say it's pretty cool. I do love this, especially since it has the death effect. Can be really nice. And I will say it's really helpful. It's won me some rounds. Definitely won some wars because of me swapping my deck out and stuff. Man, I know I'm being kind of bland, giving it a 6. I just realized I never gave Trench Amalgamation a ranking. That's my bad. 4. If not a 3. I'm sorry that I glanced over giving it a ranking. It's bad. I don't really recommend this. There's some decks that I think could definitely work. I just don't think they're that good. Especially because it's an 8 cost card. Like, holy crap, this should be a 6. Because yeah, you're drawing, but so is your opponent. Anyway, Dollface, I'll give it a 7. I feel like this is a fair card, pretty good. Given graveyard decks some like life, I think it earns it. Really not doing too much for Dark Force, but I do think there's some potential. And we got the final one on the season pass. Gosh, where to begin? Dreamcatcher. Spells are disabled during war and return to their owner's hand when cast. Now I found out King Cuba, the one of the designers for a lot of these cards, actually, he watches my videos sometimes, and I hate to say this but I don't like this card. I don't think it's good. And the reason why light is all about getting your spells out. You want to be able to just hand dump, dump them out of your deck, and it's not doing that. It's doing the opposite. And oftentimes it kind of helps your opponent more than it helps you. Now, really good stats, a good stat stick for a 4, but and you might go, oh, put in light 4s. They don't have much spells going on. And well, yes, you get stuff like Solar Deflector. No, hold on. Let's see. Yeah, we go to 4s. Spoiler alert for a future upcoming deck. I hate to spoil it, but like the main things, you're not really using Forge of Mirrors. I don't think it's good in light forwards. Good for fire forwards, not good for light forwards. Strobe flash really good. Solar deflector is really good. But these are and logical cube helps you get these other two out. But the problem is, these rely on you getting them out, and they're really good board draws. You can like silence like a 10,000 power minion, make it 3,000, for example, sometimes. And Dreamcatcher's hurting. I don't even own Dreamcatcher. That's the funny part. I don't even own Dreamcatcher yet. It's the one card this patch I haven't bothered unlocking yet. I just don't care about it. I'm sorry. It's just I just don't really care about it. But like, yeah, I have all the other cards. I even got a foil Mothman already. I just don't care about Dreamcatcher, and I kind of want to give it a 2. I know it's a little rude. It kind of hurts you because light decks are the spell decks. Most other decks, yes, they have them, but they're not relying on them. Because of that, this just ends up hurting you most of the time. I never think of a time as a light deck where I'm like drawing this on wall, like, oh man, that feels overkill because oftentimes you're getting draws and stuff off of it. Granted, every once in a while it may save you a couple cards. I don't recommend it in general. I don't think it's that good of a card. And then next up, we got Murderous Butcher. Yeah, buddy, you better believe this guy. There's a couple things. So first of all, play destroy a minion, gain its power. Uh, it's okay. I do have a gripe with it though. Why is this an 8-cost card? Holy freaking crap, man. Like, why are we making this an 8-cost card? Granted, yes, this is a good one. Because oftentimes, you can, like, chomp down, like, a golem, for example. That's 10,000 power. This becomes a 13,000 power card. But, man, this requires you to play it. This requires you to not get blocked. This requires it to be good. You know what I mean? It's just not that useful of a card. And it's cool, and I do have a fun and I wanted to make it like this fun idea of like just like a complete like this stat destroy deck where like you play a card, destroy one card, and like it helps you. But here's the thing, yes, this is cool, but it's basically just a glorified. Oh wait, hold on. Of Gloomhorde. This is just a glorified Gloomhorde, where when you destroy a minion, this gains space power. And this doesn't have to destroy it. This is just when it exists. You can just use other cards to destroy it. Murder's Butcher is a one and done type of deal. And I think it'd be cool if it was like a 6 cost, or at least buff its base power, because this is a dead draw war. And I've drawn it a good amount of times for war. I don't want to have to risk that. I want to just have it in my hand. And I just don't think it's that good. And overall, man, I want to give it a 5. There's at least it's better than Dreamcatcher because at least it has uses. There's definitely won me some rounds, but I don't know if I want to use it for an 8 cost because like let's put this in perspective. Here's some other 8 cost cards. Ultraside Worm. Yes, it destroys all your friendly minions, but oftentimes that helps you when you're running dark. When a friendly minion dies, destroy a minion. I mean, that's pretty good oftentimes. Um, got this guy gain 8,000. Your opponent loses a shield from this. It's crazy. Um, Dark Rider's Andar's insane. You just got to see these like really good cards, and it's just like, hi, I'm Riz Butcher. I'm here to participate, and everyone's just like, yeah, cool story, bro. Get in the corner of Trench Amalgamation, which when you're getting compared to Trench Amalgamation, life ain't good. So the final card we got for this patch is Locust. I am not going to pronounce that. So blocker player, giving minion and then one's next to it plus 2,000 swaps for him each round. Then you got the Beast Shroud play, giving minion and the ones next to it minus 2,000 swaps for him each round. So what this means. So let's say you had 2 minions down, and then you place this to the right of the middle minion. That would be a plus 6,000 net gain, just to kind of put perspective. Then you got the Beast form, which you want to use. I've been using it for stuff like my Nomifying Witch decks, or I'm afflicting negative power constantly. Really good for my Crow Winger, really good for that type of stuff. Actually, I'm gonna have a video. You're gonna see this card star in it. I love this card. I was honestly little unimpressed with it when it was teased. I won't lie. I was very like, yeah, sure, that's okay, I guess. Pretty cool 5 cost. After using it though, ooh, I love this card. Ooh, I won't lie. This is probably my favorite card of the patch. So the reason why, even if you get this form where you give a menu one next to it plus 2,000, think about it. 3,000 plus 60. This is a 9,000. Okay, 5 cost 9,000 with blocker. Blocker is useful. Can block some pretty big important cards like Volska and stuff. I love that. And it's not, I mean, yes, it's not the best war draw, but it exists. Then you got the beast form where it has shroud. And you're afflicting negative power on your opponents. That's really good also because when it's on this form, oh, I may not have minions in this hand, but I have this card. I'm gonna play this card now. I'm gonna like really hurt their board. And this can become a 3,000, 3,000 negative 6,000 technically with your opponent's side. Really cause some disruption. I absolutely love and adore this card, and this is kind of a hot take. I think I am willing to give this one a solid 8 or 9. Sure, it's not the strongest card, but for a 5 cost card, ooh, I might even put this like 9.5 towards like we're entering really good territory. And the thing is, people have underestimated this card. People aren't really talking about this card, but I love it. I actually, this is a little bit of a secret I probably shouldn't be sharing, but uh, if there's a tourney this month, I plan on using this card. I absolutely love this card, and I think it's getting not enough love and appreciation for what it's doing. Yes, it's not the best card, but it definitely works in like a bug. It can work in a bug or a beast deck. That's the fun part. You can put it in either, and I think it works. It slaps in any deck when it comes to nature. I think it's a really good card. Um, Man, let me just double check. 'Cause I'm 90% sure that is all the cards that came out this patch. Yep, that's the cards. Um, Overall, I think this was a really good patch. We got some stuff really neat. I really love this strike, by the way. The pumpkin or the lollipop. I love the lollipop. It's one of my favorites. And variants pretty. I love the variants this month. Getting the raft, like looking like Tootsie Roll. Love that. I love the headless Ravager with the like. It kind of looks like he's like a motorcycle. Pretty cool. Uh, Head Runner. I thought this was hilarious. Super villain portal. Pretty cool. This one's okay. Um, I love the artist Dolmancy. I think this was fun. I think it's a fun one. This is a funny pun. I think it's a good pun. And overall, I know this isn't the most crazy. Do expect some deck showcases. I am going to showcase a lot of these cards, except for Dreamcatcher. I might just showcase it really quick for how bad it is someday. But overall, I ain't using this card. Uh, yeah, I do think it's pretty cool. I would recommend getting these cards though. I do think this is a battle pass worth getting. I would recommend grabbing these cards if you can. Um, and honestly, even if this wasn't the best card, it is a good card. But even if it wasn't, just buy this. All right, show your love to developers. This devs really earn it. I know they're not getting much from this, but every penny helps. You gotta remember that. Um, the only thing I don't like about this battle pass, quick like side tangent, this makes no sense. It's a cool-ish one. I just don't understand the point of it being here. Like, yeah, sure, but like we got this like whole theme going on. This just feels like weird. It just feels out there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I know this probably was the most interesting, just a little bit talking about the season. Um, but I do think it's important because there's a lot of divisive things about how people view this season, and I wouldn't take mine to heart because mine's opinion. A lot of things are opinion, but I think this is probably the best card of the patch, hands down. And I hope you're having a good day. I'm gonna go try to figure out what the heck to make a thumbnail with this. I have no idea how I'm gonna make this a thumbnail, but I'll figure it out. And I hope you're having a great day, everybody. I'll see you. Bye bye.